Audiobook, Buddawajana, an anthology of Dhamma, Revealing the Hidden, Volume 10, Reciting Dhamma. Again, the bhikkhus recite the Dhamma in detail as they have heard it and learned it. This is the fourth thing that leads to the continuation, non-decline, and non-disappearance of the good Dhamma. Again, the bhikkhus ponder, examine, and mentally inspect the Dhamma as they have heard it and learned it. This is the fifth thing that leads to the continuation, non-decline, and non-disappearance of the good Dhamma. Preface. The benefits of reciting Dhamma. Number 1. Leads to the stability of Saddhamma. One of the fives that lead to the stability of Saddhamma. Number 2. A sphere of release. One of the 5 spheres of release. Number 3. The help to much knowledge. Number 4. The company that has the preeminence. Number 5. Be rid of stain. Number 6. An equipment of the mind for developing a mind that is without hostility and without ill will. One of the 5 equipment of the mind. Number 7. Drowsiness will be abandoned. One of the 8 techniques to abandon the drowsiness as taught by the Tathagata. How does the hymns that have not been recited over a long period recur to the mind? Priming. When one dwells with a mind that is not obsessed, not overwhelmed by sensual lust, ill will, sloth, torpor, restlessness, remorse, doubt, and one understands as it really is the escape from arisen of such. On that occasion one knows and sees as it really is one's own good, and the good of others, and the good of both. Then even those hymns that have not been recited over a long period recur to the mind. Not only reciting, but also dwelling in the Dhamma. Again, consider the monk who gives in full a repetition of Dhamma. As he has heard it, as he has learned it, he spends the day in repeating it. He neglects to go apart, and devotes not himself to calm of purpose of the self. Monk, that monk is said to be swift to repeat, but he lives not by the Dhamma. But monk, take the case of the monk who masters Dhamma, the sayings, psalms, and so forth, and spends not the day in that mastery, neglects not to go apart, and devotes himself to calm of purpose of the self. Verily, monk, such a monk is one who lives by the Dhamma. Monks, take the case when the master or some fellow in the godly life who acts as a teacher does not instruct a monk in Dhamma, but he repeats Dhamma as he has heard it, as he has learnt it, and while doing so, from this experience gladness springs up. From that, zest. In such a state his whole being calms down. When he is calm, ease is experienced, and for him who dwells at ease, the mind is composed. Monks, this is the 3rd sphere of release. Mokkallana. If, while thou abidest thoughtful, comes the thought, that drowsiness has descended, take no heed of it, make no ado of that thought, and maybe, as thou abidest so, that drowsiness will pass. If abiding so, it pass not, then shalt thou ponder in thy heart on Dhamma, as heard, as mastered, and maybe, as thou abidest so, that drowsiness will pass. Recollection of the Buddha. A Tathagata appears in the world. accomplished, fully enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime, knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened, blessed. He declares this world, with its gods, its maras, its pramas, this generation with its recluses and brahmins, its princes and its people, which he has himself realized by direct knowledge. He teaches the Dhamma, good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing, and he reveals a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. Recollection of the Dhamma. The Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One, directly visible, immediate, timeless, inviting one to come and see, applicable, leading inwards, to be personally experienced by the wise. Recollection of the Sangha. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way, practicing the straight way, practicing the true way, practicing the proper way. That is, the 4 pairs of persons, the 8 types of individuals. This Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, the unsurpassed field of merit for the world. The abandoning of fear. Bhikkhus, if you have gone to a forest, or to the foot of a tree, or to an empty hut, you should recollect me. Whatever fear you may have will be abandoned. If you cannot recollect the Buddha, knower of the world, unsurpassed leader of persons to be tamed, the Blessed One, then you should recollect the Dhamma, is well expounded by the Blessed One. If you cannot recollect the Dhamma, then you should recollect the Sangha, the unsurpassed field of merit for the world. Bhikkhus, for when you recollect Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, whatever fear or trepidation or terror you may have will be abandoned. The chain of dependent origination. Therein, Bhikkhus, the instructed noble disciple attends carefully and closely to dependent origination itself, thus: when this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. That is, with ignorance as condition, volitional formations. With volitional formations as condition, consciousness. With consciousness as condition, name and form. With name and form as condition, the 6 sense bases. With the 6 sense bases as condition, contact. With contact as condition, feeling. With feeling as condition, craving. With craving as condition, clinging. With clinging as condition, existence. With existence as condition, birth. With birth as condition, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure, and despair come to be. Such is the origin of this whole mass of suffering. With the remainderless fading away and cessation of ignorance comes cessation of volitional formations. With the cessation of volitional formations, cessation of consciousness. With the cessation of consciousness comes cessation of name and form. With the cessation of name and form comes cessation of the six sense bases. With the cessation of the six sense bases comes cessation of contact. With the cessation of contact comes cessation of feeling. With the cessation of feeling comes cessation of craving. With the cessation of craving comes cessation of clinging. With the cessation of clinging comes cessation of existence. With the cessation of existence comes cessation of birth. With the cessation of birth comes the cessation of aging and death. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure, and despair cease. Such is the cessation of this whole mass of suffering. The Aryan Eightfold Path. And what, bhikkhus, is the Aryan truth concerning the way that leads to the cessation of ill? Aryan Eightfold Path, to wit, right view, right aspiration, right speech, right doing, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right rapture. And what, bhikkhus, is right view? Knowledge, bhikkhus, about ill. Knowledge about the coming of ill. Knowledge about the cessation of ill. Knowledge about the way that leads to the cessation of ill. This is what is called right view. And what, bhikkhus, is right aspiration? The aspiration towards renunciation. The aspiration towards benevolence. The aspiration towards kindness. This is what is called right aspiration. And what, bhikkhus, is right speech? Abstaining from lying. Abstaining from slander. Abstaining from abuse. And abstaining from idle talk. This is what is called right speech. And what, bhikkhus, is right doing? Abstaining from taking life. Abstaining from taking what is not given. Abstaining from carnal indulgence. This is what is called right doing. And what, bhikkhus, is right livelihood? Herein, O bhikkhus, the Aryan disciple, having put away wrong livelihood, supports himself by right livelihood. This is what is called right livelihood. And what, bhikkhus, is right effort? Herein, O bhikkhus, a brother makes effort in bringing forth will that evil and bad states that have not arisen within him may not arise. To that end he stirs up energy. He grips and forces his mind, that he may put away evil and bad states that have arisen within him. He puts forth will. He makes effort. He stirs up energy. He grips and forces his mind, that good states which have not arisen may arise. He puts forth will. He makes effort. He stirs up energy. He grips and forces his mind, that good states which have arisen may persist, may not grow blurred, may multiply, grow abundant, develop and come to perfection. He puts forth will. He makes effort. He stirs up energy. He grips and forces his mind. This is what is called right effort. And what, bhikkhus, is right mindfulness? Herein, O bhikkhus, a brother, as to the body, continues so to look upon the body, that he remains ardent, self-possessed, and mindful, having overcome both the hankering and the dejection common in the world. And in the same way, as to feelings, he so looks upon each, that he remains ardent, self-possessed, and mindful, having overcome the hankering and the dejection that is coming in the world. And in the same way as to thoughts, he so looks upon each, that he remains ardent, self-possessed, and mindful, having overcome the hankering and the dejection that is common in the world. And in the same way as to ideas, he so looks upon each, that he remains ardent, self-possessed, and mindful, having overcome the hankering and the dejection that is common in the world. This is what is called right mindfulness. And what, bhikkhus, is right rapture? Herein, O bhikkhus, a brother, aloof from sensuous appetites, aloof from evil ideas, enters into and abides in the first jhana, wherein there is cogitation and deliberation, which is born of solitude and is full of joy and ease. Suppressing cogitation and deliberation, he enters into and abides in the second jhana, which is self-evoked, born of concentration, full of joy and ease. In that, set free from cogitation and deliberation, the mind grows calm and sure, dwelling on high. And further, disenchanted with joy, he abides calmly, contemplative, while mindful and self-possessed. He feels in his body that ease whereof Aryans declare. He that is calmly contemplative and aware, he dwelleth at ease, so does he enter into the abide in the third jhana. And further, by putting aside ease and by putting aside malaise, by the passing away of the happiness and of the melancholy he used to feel, he enters into and abides in the fourth jhana. Rapture of utter purity, of mindfulness, and equanimity, wherein neither ease is felt nor any ill. This is what is called right rapture. This, bhikkhus, is the Aryan truth concerning the way leading to the cessation of ill. The end of coming and going. For him who cling, there is wavering. For him who cling, not there is no wavering. Wavering not being, there is calm. Calm being, there is no bending. Bending not being, there is no coming and going to birth. Coming and going not being, there is no decease and rebirth. Decease and rebirth not being, there is no here, or yonder, nor anything between the two. This indeed is the end of suffering. Striving. Two things, monks, I have realized: to be discontent in good states, and not to shrink back from the struggle. Without shrinking back, monks, I struggle on this. Gladly would I have my skin and my sinews and bones wither, and my body's flesh and blood dry up, if only I may hold out until I win what may be won by human strength, by human energy, by human striving. By my earnest endeavor, monks, I won enlightenment. I won the unrivaled freedom from the bond. And ye too, monks, do not ye decline the contest, but struggle on, saying to yourselves, Gladly would I have my skin and sinews and bones wither, and my body's flesh and blood dry up, if only I may hold out until I win what may be won by human strength, by human energy, by human striving. Then ye too, monks, in no long time shall win that goal for which the clansmen rightly leave home for the homeless life, even that unrivaled goal of righteous living, realized it for yourselves, even in this very life, and having reached it, ye shall abide therein. Wherefore I say unto you, monk, thus must you train yourself. We will not decline the contest, but will struggle on. With this thought, let skin and sinews and bones wither. That is how ye must train yourselves, monk. The destruction of delight. Seeing rightly, he experiences revulsion. With the destruction of delight comes destruction of lust. With the destruction of lust comes destruction of delight. With the destruction of delight and lust, the mind is said to be well liberated. Capable of falling away. Monks, possessed of four qualities, a man is incapable of falling away. He is near to Nibbana. What are the four? Herein a monk is perfect in virtue. He is guarded as to the doors of the sense faculties. He is moderate in eating. He is given to watchfulness. And in what way is a monk perfect in virtue? Herein a monk is virtuous. He dwells restrained with the restraint of the obligations. Perfect in the practice of right conduct, he sees danger in the slightest faults. He takes up and trains himself in the stages of training. Thus a monk is perfect in virtue. And how is a monk guarded as to the doors of the sense faculties? Herein a monk seeing an object with the eye, when he hears a sound with the ear, or with the nose smells a scent, or with the tongue tastes a savor, or with body contacts tangibles, when with mind he cognizes mental states. He does not grasp at the general features or at the details thereof. Since coveting and dejection, evil, unprofitable states, might flow in upon one who dwells with the faculty of the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind uncontrolled. He applies himself to such control. He gets a guard over the faculty of the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, attains control thereof. That is how a monk has the doors of the sense faculties guarded. And how is a monk moderate in eating? Herein a monk takes his food thoughtfully and prudently, not for sport, not for indulgence, not for personal charm or adornment, but just enough for the support, for the continuance of body, for its resting unharmed, to keep the living of the God life. With this thought, my former feeling, I check and I set, going no new feeling. Thus, maintenances shall be mine, blamelessness and comfort in life. Thus a monk is moderate in eating. And how is a monk given to watchfulness? By day a monk walks up and down and then sits thus, cleansing his heart of conditions that should be checked. By night, for the first watch, he does likewise. In the middle watch of the night, lying on his right side, he takes up the lion posture, resting one foot on the other, and thus collecting and composing fixes his thoughts on arising up again. In the last watch of the night, at early dawn, he walks up and down, then sits, and so cleanses his heart of things that he must check. That is how a monk is given to watchfulness. Possessed of these four qualities, a monk is incapable of falling away. He is near to Nibbana. Mindfulness of breathing. And how, bhikkhus, does mindfulness of breathing, developed and cultivated, fulfill the four foundations of mindfulness? Bhikkhus, on whatever occasion a bhikkhu breathing in long understands, I breathe in long. On breathing out long understands, I breathe out long. Breathing in short understands, I breathe in short. Or breathing out short understands, I breathe out short. Trains thus, I shall breathe in experiencing the whole body of breath. Trains thus, I shall breathe out experiencing the whole body of breath. Trains thus, I shall breathe in tranquilizing the bodily formation. Trains thus, I shall breathe out tranquilizing the bodily formation. Bhikkhus, on that occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating the body as a body, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Bhikkhus, I say that this is a certain body among the bodies, namely in breathing and out breathing. Bhikkhus, that is why on that occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating the body as a body, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Bhikkhus, on whatever occasion a bhikkhu trains thus, I shall breathe in experiencing rapture. Trains thus, I shall breathe out experiencing rapture. Trains thus, I shall breathe in experiencing pleasure. Trains thus, I shall breathe out experiencing pleasure. Trains thus, I shall breathe in experiencing the mental formation. Trains thus, I shall breathe out experiencing the mental formation. Trains thus, I shall breathe in tranquilizing the mental formation. Trains thus, I shall breathe out tranquilizing the mental formation. Bhikkhus, on that occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating feelings as feelings, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Bhikkhus, I say that this is a certain feeling among the feelings, namely, giving close attention to in-breathing and out-breathing. Bhikkhus, that is why, on that occasion, a bhikkhu abides contemplating feelings as feelings, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Bhikkhus, on whatever occasion a bhikkhu trains thus, I shall breathe in experiencing the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe out experiencing the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe in gladdening the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe out gladdening the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe in concentrating the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe out concentrating the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, liberating the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, liberating the mind. Bhikkhus. On that occasion, a bhikkhu abides, contemplating mind as mind, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Bhikkhus. I do not say that there is the development of mindfulness of breathing for one who is forgetful, who is not fully aware. Bhikkhus. That is why, on that occasion, a bhikkhu abides contemplating mind as mind, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Bhikkhus. On whatever occasion a bhikkhu trains thus, I shall breathe in, contemplating impermanence. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, contemplating impermanence. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, contemplating fading away. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, contemplating fading away. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, contemplating cessation. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, contemplating cessation. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, contemplating relinquishment. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, contemplating relinquishment. Bhikkhus. On that occasion, a bhikkhu abides, contemplating mind objects as mind objects, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Having seen with wisdom the abandoning of covetousness and grief, he closely looks on with equanimity. That is why, on that occasion, a bhikkhu abides contemplating mind objects as mind objects, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. Bhikkhus. That is how mindfulness of breathing, developed and cultivated, fulfills the four foundations of mindfulness. Rahula. When mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated in this way, even the final in-breaths and out-breaths are known as they cease, not unknown. A sick man. Monks, if 5 things forsake not anyone weak and ailing, for him this may be expected ere long. By destroying the cankers, he will enter and abide in the emancipation of mind, the emancipation of insight, which is free of cankers, realizing this by his own knowledge, even both here and now. What 5? Herein, monks, a monk abides, seeing nothing attractive in the body, is conscious of the cloying of food, consciousness of distaste as to the world, perceives impermanence in the compounded, and his inner self is well set on the thought of death. Monks, if these 5 things forsake not anyone weak and ailing, for him this may be expected ere long. He will enter and abide in emancipation of mind, the emancipation of insight, which is free of cankers, realizing this by his own knowledge, even both here and now. The end of suffering. Here, Malun Gayaputta, regarding things seen, heard, sensed, and cognized by you. In the seen, there will be merely the seen. In the heard will be merely the heard. In the sensed will be merely the sensed. In the cognized, there will be merely the cognized. When Malukyaputa, regarding things seen, heard, sensed, and cognized by you. In the seen, there will be merely the seen. In the heard, there will be merely the heard. In the sensed, there will be merely the sensed. In the cognized, there will be merely the cognized. Then, Malunkyaputta, you will not be by that. When, Malunkyaputta, you are not by that, then you will not be therein. When, Malunkyaputta, you are not therein, then you will be neither here nor beyond, nor in between the two. This itself is the end of suffering. The supreme development of the faculties. Now, Ananda, how is there the supreme development of the faculties in the Noble One's discipline? Here, Ananda, when a bhikkhu sees a form with the eye, there arises in him what is agreeable. There arises what is disagreeable. There arises what is both agreeable and disagreeable. He understands thus: there has arisen in me what is agreeable. There has arisen what is disagreeable. There has arisen what is both agreeable and disagreeable. But that is conditioned, gross, dependently arisen. This is peaceful. This is sublime. That is equanimity. The agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose, cease in him, and equanimity is established. Just as a man with good sight, having opened his eyes, might shut them, or having shut his eyes, might open them, so too concerning anything at all, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose, cease just as quickly, just as rapidly, just as easily, and equanimity is established. This is called, in the Noble One's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties regarding forms cognizable by the eye. Before lying down. Monks, if while he lies awake, there arise in a monk thoughts, sensual or malign or cruel, and he does not admit them, but rejects, expels, makes an end of them, drives them out of renewed existence. Monks, a monk who while lying awake becomes such, and one is called ardent, scrupulous, always and forever strong in energy and resolute. Ananda, when a bhikkhu abides thus, if his mind inclines to lying down, he lies down thinking, while I am lying down thus, no evil, unwholesome states will beset me. In this way, he has full awareness of that. Let the Dhamma and discipline be your teachers. It may be, Ananda, that in some of you the thought may arise. The world of the Master is ended. We have no teacher more. But it is not thus, Ananda, that you should regard it. Ananda, the truths and the rules of the order, which I have set forth and laid down for you all, let them, after I am gone, be the teacher to you. Let the Dhamma and you be your own refuges. And whosoever, Ananda, either now or after I am dead, shall be a lamp unto themselves, and a refuge unto themselves, shall betake themselves to no external refuge, but holding fast to the truth as their lamp, and holding fast as their refuge to the truth, shall look not for refuge to anyone besides themselves. It is they, Ananda, among my bhikkhus, who shall reach the very topmost height, but they must be anxious to learn. The Tathagata's last words. Behold now, brethren, I exhort you, saying, decay is inherent in all component things. Work out your salvation with diligence. Develop loving kindness. 1. Monk, you must train yourself thus. Inwardly my mind shall become firm and well composed, and evil and wrong states, which arise and overwhelm the mind, shall find no footing. When, monk, inwardly your mind is firm and well composed, and evil and wrong states, which arise and overwhelm the mind, find no footing, then, monk, you must train yourself thus. Through amity, through pity, through sympathy, through poise, shall the release of the mind become by me, continuously develop, made a vehicle of, made a basis, exercise, augmented, thoroughly set going. 2. He sees himself purified of all these evil, unwholesome states. He sees himself liberated from them. When he sees this, gladness is born in him. When he is glad, rapture is born in him. In one who is rapturous, the body becomes tranquil. One whose body is tranquil feels pleasure. In one who feels pleasure, the mind becomes concentrated. He abides, pervading 1/4 with a mind imbued with loving kindness. Likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth. So above, below, around, and everywhere, and to all as to himself, he abides, pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. He abides, pervading 1/4 with a mind imbued with compassion, with a mind imbued with appreciative joy, with a mind imbued with equanimity, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. Suppose there were a pond with clear, agreeable, cool water, transparent, with smooth banks, delightful. If a man scorched and exhausted by hot weather, weary, parched, and thirsty, came from the east, or from the west, or from the north, or from the south, or from where you will, having come upon the pond, he would quench his thirst and his hot weather fever. So too, bhikkhus, if anyone from a clan of nobles goes forth from the home life into homelessness, and after encountering the Dhamma and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata, develops loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity, and thereby gains internal peace, then because of that internal peace, he practices the way proper to the recluse, I say. 3. Just as a mighty trumpeter makes himself heard, and that without difficulty, in all the 4 directions, even so, of all things that have shape over life, there is not one that he passes by or leaves aside, but regards them all with mind set free in deep felt pity, sympathy, equanimity. 4. Monks, by the release of the heart through amity, practiced, made become, made much of, made a vehicle and a basis, exercised, augmented, and set going, 11 advantages are to be expected. Happy one sleeps, happy one awakes, one sees no bad dreams, one is dear to humans, one is dear to non-humans. Devas guard one. Neither fire, nor poison, nor sword affects one. Be fast concentrating, the mind one. Cheerful face one. One no frantic dying, and through one penetrate not the beyond, one reaches the Brahma world. Monks, by the release of the heart through amity, practiced, made become, made much of, made a vehicle and a basis, exercised, augmented, and set going, 11 advantages are to be expected. The Inducer. Bhikkhus, an exertion should be made to understand. This is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. Thus, bhikkhus, I have taught you the destination and the path leading to the destination. Whatever should be done, bhikkhus, by a compassionate teacher, out of compassion for his disciples, desiring their welfare, that I have done for you. These are the feet of trees, bhikkhus. These are empty huts. Meditate, bhikkhus. Do not be negligent, lest you regret it later. This is our instruction to you. For the unsurpassed peace. Monks, take the case when the master or some fellow in the godly life who acts as a teacher does not instruct a monk in Dhamma, and he himself does not instruct others in detail as he has heard it, as he has learnt it, but he repeats Dhamma as he has heard it, as he has learnt it, and while doing so, from the experience, gladness springs up. From that, zest. In such a stable his whole being calms down. When he is calm, ease is experienced. And for him who dwells at ease, the mind is composed. Monks, this is the third sphere of release, wherein the unreleased mind of a monk, abiding zealous, ardent and resolute, finds release, or the cankers, not yet wholly destroyed, come to complete destruction, or to the unsurpassed peace from effort, not yet attained, is one. The Enlightened One who understands open the door to the deathless state, by which Nibbana may be safely reached. For Mara's stream is breasted now, its current blocked, its reeds removed. Rejoice then, bhikkhus, mightily, and set your hearts where safety lies. Here a bhikkhu masters the Dhamma, discourses, mixed prose and verse, expositions, verses, inspired utterances, quotations, birth stories, amazing accounts, and questions and answers. He has followed those teachings by ear, recited them verbally, examined them with the mind, and penetrated them well by view. He passes away muddled in mind, and is reborn into a certain group of devas. There the happy ones recite passages of the Dhamma to him. The arising of his memory is sluggish, but then that being quickly reaches distinction.